Good morning, everybody. This is Casper from the Tropical Weather Threat Society bringing you a special update for Hurricane Melissa, which, as of the 5 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time advisory issued by the National Hurricane Center, has become the season's third category. I've had four categories, only two seasons. Jamaica, my heart goes out to you. It really does. My heart really, really goes out to you. Um, are we already having problems with the video? Are we seriously having problems already? If anybody could let me know if you've got visual on this. Oh, there we go. Um, I will say for folks that may be watching this, we do have quite a few thunderstorms in the area this morning. So if things are being interrupted, but I do know that it is raining outside, and is a lot of thunder and lightning that is ongoing. So uh, and there goes the live signal. Man, we're having all types of problems. I got to get Xfinity out here. I really do. Today is Monday. I've definitely got to get them out here. Mm. Feed. So, with looking at the satellite view, we have radar coming out of Kingston, Jamaica. And as we could see, very powerful, very formidable, unbelievable storm. Looking at the reconnaissance aircraft, we had this flight went through and picked up a 909 for its pressure. Could be a little bit lower, but I definitely saw a 909 on this right hand side graphic. 910. So again, pressures are still continuing to drop and intensification is still taking place. Big time problems here for our friends in Jamaica. So let's go through the advisory. As of the 8 a.m. intermediate advisory, Melissa is located at 16.4 north, 78.0 west, about 135 miles southwest of Kingston, Jamaica, and approximately 300 Category 5 up to 160 miles an hour. Currently moving west at 3 miles an hour, but it's 200 advisories being either due west at 2 millibars, and as we saw with the recon, the pressures are still continuing to fall. We had no changes with this advisory and currently have a hurricane warning in effect for the southeastern and central Bahamas plus the Turks and Caicos Islands. A tropical storm warning is in effect for Haiti and a province there, Las Tunas in Cuba. Interest in Bermuda will always be the hazards affecting land. I wish professionals and read this for folks. Get them used to going to the hazards affecting land portion of the public. Tropical storm conditions are occurring in Jamaica, and destructive hurricane conditions are expected to begin, and in some elevated locations could be even greater. Tropical storm conditions are expected to begin in eastern Cuba on Tuesday, with hurricane conditions expected to begin in the hurricane warning area by Tuesday evening. Tropical storm conditions are expected in Haiti late Tuesday and Wednesday. Tropical storm and hurricane conditions are possible in the southeastern and central Bahamas, as well as the Turks and Caicos Islands on Wednesday. Rainfall. Melissa is expected with storm total local maxima of 40 inches, resulting in life-threatening and potentially catastrophic flash flooding with numerous landslides. Over the southeast Bahamas, total rainfall of 4 to 8 inches is expected Tuesday into Wednesday, resulting in areas of flash flooding. Storm surge. A life-threatening storm surge is likely along the south coast of Jamaica tonight and on Tuesday. Peak storm surge heights could reach 9 to 13 feet above ground level near and to the east of where the center of Melissa makes landfall. This storm surge will be accompanied by large and destructive waves. There is a potential for significant storm surge along the southeast coast of Cuba late Tuesday or Wednesday. Peak storm surge heights could reach 6 to 9 feet above normal tide levels near and to the east of where the center of Melissa makes landfall. This storm surge will be accompanied by large and destructive waves. Storm surge is possible in the southeastern Bahamas and Turks and Caicos Island on Wednesday. And our surf, stay out of the water. We'll just put it as plain as we can. Our forecast track, still looking at the western and west central portions of Jamaica, making landfall now as a Category 5. And there's no telling how strong this is going to be right now. Eyewall replacement cycle is honestly going to be about the only thing that is going to save Jamaica from some extraordinarily catastrophic wind speeds. And as you can see, central portions of eastern Cuba, where we have our tornado warning, Lord have mercy. I see red, and that's the first thing I thought of this morning. Where we have our hurricane warning, and then rolling through the Bahamas, getting in and around the Turks and Caicos region as still a hurricane, not a major hurricane, but a hurricane nonetheless. And then Friday, 2 a.m., hurricane potentially in Bermuda with the acceleration off to the northeast, and finally becoming post-tropical and entering the history books sometime late Friday or early Saturday morning. Looking at the spaghetti plots. Now, we have two different sets of camps here, and it should be very, very easy to kind of point out. We have one set of guidance that wants to take us this way. We have another set of guidance which is running us this way. Now, that may not seem like a lot, but for the folks here into parts of the central Bahamas, that would mean a great deal. And for the folks here in the Turks and Caicos as well, depending on which one of these two tracks that it is going to follow. The National Hurricane Center has a cone of uncertainty, and that is kind of, it eats up the uncertainty there with the track. And then, as you can see, by the time we get to day 4 or day 5, we are going to play where's it at. But by the time we get to day 5, that should be all she wrote. The HCCA consensus model. The HCCA has come back just by a little bit to the east. If we want to, we can pull up the trends from the University of Albany, but we're not zoomed in enough to be able to see it. It's very, very close, but it does look like that it trended back just slight tick to the east. But again, we're only talking by maybe a handful of miles there. The forecaster's discussion. Now, please keep in mind that this discussion was issued at 5 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We have since then been issued the intermediate advisory at 8 a.m. So this information is 4 hours old. That being said, I am not going to read the top graphic or the top paragraph, because the top paragraph is the justification of when it became a Category 5. It has since, the central pressure of 917 has now been replaced by a minimum central pressure of 913. So I don't want to confuse everybody, and I am not going to read the top paragraph. But we're definitely reading paragraphs 2 and 3. Melissa appears to be gaining some latitude again, but the 12-hour average motion is westward 275 degrees at 3 knots. A painstakingly slow turn towards the northwest and north is expected during the next 24 hours, and Melissa is forecast to make landfall on the south coast of Jamaica Tuesday morning and emerge off the north coast by Tuesday afternoon. A trough moving across the southeastern United States is then expected to cause Melissa to turn northeastward and accelerate, crossing the southeastern Cuba and southeastern Bahamas Tuesday night and Wednesday, and then reaching the vicinity of Bermuda Thursday night. The part of the forecast track, while Melissa is over the western Atlantic, has been adjusted a bit westward following the latest Google DeepMind and European model solutions. Some additional strengthening is possible during the next 12 to 24 hours while Melissa is south of Jamaica over waters of high oceanic heat content and in an environment of relatively low wind shear. Fluctuations in intensity are also possible during this period due to internal dynamics related to eye wall replacements, which are generally difficult to forecast. There's really no practical difference in Melissa making landfall in Jamaica at Category 4 or Category 5 intensity, since both categories can produce catastrophic wind damage. In addition, winds in the mountains of Jamaica are likely to be higher than the winds at sea level and are likely to add to the seriousness of the situation. Although interactions with Jamaica will lead to some weakening, Melissa is expected to reach southeastern Cuba as a major hurricane, and will also move across the southeastern Bahamas and be near Bermuda as a hurricane. Some of the guidance shows a flatlining of the intensity while Melissa is moving over the southwestern Atlantic, and the NHC forecast has been bumped up during that time accordingly. And there is a reason for that. The frontal boundary and the trough that it will be interacting with is going to act like a ventilation for the storm, and could help it maintain intensity due to that influence of that boundary. It won't be in it, but it'll be close enough to it to catch just a little bit of assistance, and that may help to just kind of maintain some of that intensity, not necessarily plummet the intensity like you would expect to see if the storm was heading into the shear and not moving in the same direction of the shear. As we could see, though, the National Hurricane Center, we're currently at 160. They are calling this to potentially get to 165, and it may go even higher than that. We'll have to wait and see. Although it's almost becoming a guarantee that, barring an eye wall replacement cycle, that Melissa will be making landfall as a catastrophic Category 5 into the southern portions of Jamaica, and they have never, ever seen anything like this. All right, let's check back on our recon one more time. Flew through. Let's see. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Let's go for some drop-ons, folks. I think we might be able to get a little bit more there. That was on the first pass. We do not have one on the second pass. Where are you going? You going home? Yeah, it looks like that one is on its way back. But just to kind of give everybody an idea, we are going to go into the northern eye wall here, and I want to point out right here, this particular graphic. Now, we are in the eye wall, we are not in the eye, so the minimum central pressure is not going to equate to what we see there in the center of the storm. 943 surface. That's where the dropson made splashdown there into the northern eye wall. But look at these wind speeds here in this column. You're talking about 158 knots at the surface in the northern eye wall. Now, as we saw with the National Hurricane Center's discussion, some of these winds up here into the 170 knot range, these could be the ones that end up impacting the higher terrain and causing much higher wind gusts than what we see down here at the surface. So it is a very, very serious situation, especially for those elevated areas there in and along the island. Oh, did we get a new... What'd we do? 9:15, 9:16. This one's finished. This one's on its way out. Is going back home at Mission 19. Mission 20. They just went through, and so let's see what we can get. Unfortunately, we don't have fresh drops on data on that. So we'll come back to that here in a moment. One thing that I wanted to show, and it's obviously, the hurricane hunters are going in there and doing what they normally do and getting real-time information from the storm. So we're not reliant totally on satellite remote sensing, which is a lot of what we see in the Western Pacific. Well, I've got to point this out because right now what we are looking at with the advanced Dorvac technique is a number T8.1. Now, I know that doesn't mean much to anybody, but this value, 8.1, that value is usually, it's not seen in the Atlantic very often at all, if any. Those are Western Pacific type values here in the Caribbean. With, as you can see, obviously we trust the hurricane hunters. They are in the plane. We're looking here from like geostationary orbit at like 28,000 feet above the ocean surface, and like we're 173 knots, 886 for pressure. Now, granted, like I said, the hurricane hunters are off by some, but to just see that value of 8.1 for something in the Atlantic basin, oh my God. Oh my God. Please help them. They're going to need all the help that they can get down there. Now, I know, real quick before I go through the wind speed probabilities, I do need to go through the forecast advisory because I heard with a professional this morning that there were not gusts anywhere near 200 miles an hour. Well, sir, you are a professional, and I'm not going to name names. But as you can see here, as of the 5 a.m. advisory, we had maximum sustained winds of 140 miles an hour with gusts up to 170 knots. That is equivalent to 195 miles an hour, folks. So when the claim was made that gusts near 200, how close do we have to get to 200 before you consider that near? I'm going to go out on a limb just a little bit here and say that 195 miles an hour, that's pretty close to 200. Yeah. And it's just, some of the professionals here in the state of Florida, honestly, folks, they're so arrogant and so cocky that they can never be wrong. Well, look here. Gusts at 175 knots in 12 hours. Again, they can never be wrong. And Lord heaven forbid, if you prove them wrong, then they start throwing a tantrum. And it's absolutely pathetic. You're supposed to be a professional. You act like a child sometimes. And I will be the first to call it out. I'm not going to name names, but the individual that I'm talking about is probably going to figure out exactly. I don't play games with professionals either. I don't play games with anybody. Lives are on the line. You communicate the information that is coming, the official information from the National Hurricane Center. Don't interject your cocky little opinion. Give the real data. So for Bermuda, we have a 65% chance of seeing tropical storm force winds, a 30% chance of our 50 knot winds, and an 11% chance of our 64 knot winds or hurricane force winds. Those numbers have definitely gone up since last night, big time. Great Eczema. We have a 41% chance of tropical storm force winds, a 16% chance of 50 knot winds, and a 9% chance of seeing those hurricane force winds. San Salvador, 58% chance of seeing tropical storm force winds, 31% chance of seeing 50 knot winds or 58 miles an hour, and a 16% chance of seeing our hurricane force winds. Mayaguana, we are looking at 82% chance of tropical storm force winds, 46% chance of those 58 mile an hour winds, and a 27% chance of our hurricane force winds. Grand Turk, you're running about the same for your tropical storm force winds at 41%, though your 50 knot winds have come down to 7%, and your hurricane force winds probability has dropped to only 2%. Guantanamo Bay, 81% tropical storm force winds, 41% on our 58 mile an hour winds, and 20% for our hurricane force winds. Grand Cayman, granted you were off and now you've come back, 7% chance of seeing those tropical storm force winds. Montego Bay, tropical storm force winds, yes. 50 knot winds or 58 miles an hour is now up to 80%, and our hurricane force winds are now at 57%, continuing to rise from advisory to advisory. Kingston, Jamaica, tropical storm force winds, yes. At 99%, you will just call that yes. And our 50 knot winds or 58 mile an hour winds, we are looking at a 59% chance of that occurring and a 32% chance of seeing those sustained hurricane force winds. Now, obviously, folks, gusts will be higher. So this is for our sustained winds. So gusts, again, we'll definitely get there as far as the gusts are concerned, and especially in areas of higher terrain. Our 4-day rainfall forecast. This hasn't changed much and is still a very, very catastrophic situation. The island of Jamaica, 2/3 to 3/4 of the entire island is looking at receiving at least 20 to 30 inches of rain, 500 to 750 millibars. If we look here at the mountains and the national park here on the eastern side of the island to the northeast of Kingston, we are looking at the possibility of up to 40 inches of rain in that mountainous terrain. Landslides will occur. There's no doubt about it. The heavy winds that are going to come from Melissa after the ground has been extraordinarily saturated and completely waterlogged, then we're going to get the winds coming in. I would not be surprised if there are just a handful of trees left. I'm expecting the island to look brown afterwards. I don't expect much vegetation to be left. We've seen, after years of doing this, we have seen what these types of storms cause to land masses, and it will strip the foliage, strip the barks off the trees, snap trees. Honestly, folks, there's probably not going, especially in and around where the eye makes landfall and in where that inner core is, I wouldn't imagine that anything maybe around 20 feet above the ground is still standing. Any of the trees that have, like your palm trees are going to get snapped. It's going to just take the top right off of it. If you've got pine trees down there, they're going to get snapped. Anything that has a full set of leaf out on the top, and then kind of the leaves themselves are going to be the drag coefficient against the wind. And granted, it will eventually strip the leaves, probably strip the bark, and likely topple the tree, just because of the fact that the waterlogged soils will not allow the roots to really take hold. And there's going to be an extraordinarily catastrophic amount of damage here in Jamaica. And I hope that everybody remains safe. Shelter in place. Do not go out now. It's too late. Stay in a sturdy building. Shelter in place. And, if you can, check in after the storm is over. Let us know that you're okay. As far as eastern Cuba is concerned, we are looking at 16 to 20 inches, 400 to 500 millimeters, with potentially higher amounts, although for eastern Cuba and getting over here into parts of the Dominican Republic, I should probably do a better circle than that. We'll start from this side. This area here associated with Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Granted, we've got an isolated 16 inches plus here on the extreme southwestern portions of the Tiburon Peninsula. And though we are in that lower confidence area here for this portion of Haiti and the Dominican Republic, and getting up here towards Cuba as well. Also, our friends here in the Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos, you are also under that lower confidence forecast. So what that means is that it is highly recommended that you check back with the National Hurricane Center, and specifically this graphic. Let's see, did we get a new one yet? I wish he knew I was on a live. You're in chat, brother. Oh, we do have a new rainfall forecast. This just populated earlier, and let's go over that. That was the yesterday's forecast. Today, Jamaica, isolated 30 inches. But the areas in which we were speaking of for the Dominican Republic and Eastern Cuba remain under that lower confidence. We did not get much for the values changing, though we did lose that isolated 16 inches here for the southwestern Tiburon Peninsula. And seeing that 40-inch rain is no longer bullseyed there on that national park, that could be beneficial. But look, extreme flooding rain will still take place in Jamaica. So isolated 30 inches plus. And this is only a 3-day forecast, folks. So again, big time problems here in Jamaica, looking at 500 to 750 millimeters of rain and higher in some locations. All right, our key messages. This is critical. Key message number 1 for Jamaica and Jamaica alone. Do not venture outside of your safe shelter. Let me repeat that again. Do not venture outside of your safe shelter. Catastrophic and life-threatening flash flooding and numerous landslides are likely today through Tuesday. Destructive winds, especially in the mountains, will begin by this evening, leading to extensive infrastructural damage, long-lasting power and communication outages, and isolated communities. Life-threatening storm surge and damaging waves are expected along the southern coast through Tuesday. Key message number 2 for folks on Hispaniola, that includes Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Catastrophic and life-threatening flash flooding and landslides are expected across southwestern Haiti and southern portions of the Dominican Republic through midweek. In Haiti, extensive infrastructural damage and isolation of communities is likely. Tropical storm conditions are expected late Tuesday and Wednesday. Number 3, for Eastern Cuba. Heavy rainfall with life-threatening and potentially catastrophic flash flooding and landslides is expected beginning today. Life-threatening storm surge and damaging winds are expected late Tuesday and Tuesday night. Preparations should be rushed to completion. Southeast Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos for number 4. Hurricane conditions, life-threatening storm surge, and heavy rainfall are possible on Wednesday. Residents should follow advice given by local officials and be sure to have preparations complete by Tuesday night. So again, folks, they're always going to tell you, follow your local officials. Your local officials have specific knowledge on your local community, the microclimate, the little, the little intricacies that exist in your area. Please follow your local officials and the professionals with that. Use your official sources. If you need official sources, you could come right here to the International Meteorology Database that was created by our very own Kylie, and you can get information here. I'm going to hit the refresh on this. This is probably good. Wow, they allowed me to have it. We do not have a update here yet this morning, but again, they're focusing in on everything else. With their Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, as you can see, a lot of information is available here, and you can find this website by going here to the Government of Jamaica, which is available from the database. You scroll all the way down, related link, Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management. So please, folks, use those official resources. I cannot stress this enough. As far as Haiti is concerned, again, we're just going to kind of quickly go through these. We're not going to read them, just to let everybody know that these are there. Granted, this is an old bulletin, but they will update it as they get the opportunity. So please use your official sources. Getting out here to the Dominican Republic, as you could see, this was issued here this morning at 7 a.m. their local time, and they give information for their local areas as well. Jumping over to Cuba, we do have an update that came out here at 6 a.m. this morning and giving that information for their local community. Please follow your official sources. If you are asked or told to evacuate by the local officials, leave. They're not telling you that for no reason. They have access to information as far as flash flooding data, landslide data, and the potentials of all that. This is what they do professionally. Let them communicate that information to you, but please be open to receiving that information. I know a lot of folks there in Jamaica were ordered to evacuate. Many evacuations were issued, especially for many locations along the south shore of Jamaica. And a lot of people heeded the advice and they got out of the area. Then there are some people that are afraid to leave because they are afraid that looters or criminal activity will take place, vandalism and stuff like that. Folks, there's one thing that you cannot replace. That's yourself. You cannot replace life. If those people that stayed in that area seek to do nefarious actions, they will have to answer for that eventually. So please keep yourself safe. Don't worry about the materialistic things. I mean, yes, okay, you're going to worry about them, but materialistic things can always be replaced. The house can be rebuilt. The boat can be repaired. The car can be replaced. The windows can be replaced. The roof can be replaced. The couch, the sofa, the stove, the refrigerator, all that can be replaced. There's one thing that cannot be replaced, and that is you. Don't let yourself fall victim to these storms. They don't care what you believe in. They don't care where you live. They don't care what your culture is, what your religion is, what your political beliefs are. The storm doesn't care. The storm has no discriminative properties to it whatsoever. It is an equal opportunity catastrophic disaster for everybody. It doesn't care. All right, and then the Bahamas. The Bahamas are really, really starting to ramp up their information for the Turks and Caicos and the Bahamas. Of course, page not found. Let's go here, and they have not issued a new bulletin. So again, folks, just monitor the official sources. That's all we ask to do. Educate yourself, empower yourself with the official knowledge, not, just normal, opinion of somebody that, no, the official data, please. Let's see, that's the 0Z. I kept the 6Z up because I knew we were going to be doing morning lives still. The Euro has a pretty good and likely scenario there on to parts of western and central Jamaica there. That's quite wide. I'm not gonna trust that too much. The GEFS again, really, really focused in on the west or central portions of the island. And folks, when we get to this timeline, at this point, these models, while they are very useful when we've still got days to look at it, when we're getting down to the time of imminent landfall within, say, the next 24 hours, yes, the models do provide information and data, but for the folks that are in the immediate path, the models, they're not as important because you can look at it on radar. You know exactly where it's at. And then you'll be able, this is what, instead of what we call forecasting a storm, we're starting. It's trying to get some concentric eye walls. But instead of forecasting the storm, when the storm gets into, say, radar range, at this point now you are doing what's known as nowcasting the storm. Every update from the radar, you get more information. Every update from the reconnaissance plane, you get more information. We're able to see this very closely here as it is approaching Jamaica. I wonder if we can get the 240. Will it let us? No images. No. Okay. All right. We were hopeful, but we're certainly not going to be disappointed. You just keep that radar up and running, Kingston. You guys lost radar for a very long time, and I am hopeful that y'all will be able to keep this radar active as this storm is, potentially even after it moves offshore, because we would really like to have a view of it as it is approaching Cuba in case the Cuban radars go out. And after this rolls through Jamaica, we will then transition our radar over to Cuba and see if we can just keep an eye on it. I would say we would track it through the Bahamas, but the Bahamas, they don't want to give out their radar anymore. If we scroll down, you could see radar composite. You could click on this all you want. you're not going to get the radar. And I don't know why. That's been that way all season long. We tried to use it for Imelda. We tried to use it for Aaron, and it has not been available. Okay, the Euro AI, the 6Z was loading, and now we have it. We'll bring it down to day 5. As you can see, it doesn't do that good with intensity, folks, but it does awfully well with track. And as we could see, the bulk of the guidance, granted, you've got a couple out here that are off to the west of the island. We're not really worried about that. Very, very low percentage. The higher percentage and the highest probability is calling for landfall, and the National Hurricane Center definitely agrees. The Google DeepMind, do we have the 6Z yet? No. Okay, so we've got pictures here of from Google's Weather Lab of it being prior to becoming a Category 5. Please keep in mind that this is the 0Z run. This is not the 6Z. But I have the 6Z from Weather Models in the ensemble breakdown. And as you can see, the mean value here is 924 millibars. We have obviously gone lower than that. So as this updates, 6Z is the equivalent of 2 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So it will be very interesting to see what the 12Z comes up with. We won't have the 12Z at the 1 p.m. update this afternoon, but we will have it at our normal 6 p.m. Update. All right, and let's see. I'm not sure that there's going to be very much more that we can go over. Again, this is a now casting type scenario. If you guys have got any questions, I will be more than happy to answer. Let's see. Let me check here. Yes, and the rain into Central Florida last night, we did have a flash flood emergency for those folks there. So, Sammy, keep us informed. Christy, keep us informed of what's going on in that region. You do have more rain coming today, which I'm sure after a flash flood emergency and dumping almost 20 inches of rain in locations, 15 to 20 inches of rain. You don't want to hear the rain today, but unfortunately, there will be more rain that is coming through that vulnerable area there in Central Florida, north of Orlando. All right, everybody. Yeah, and like James said over there on YouTube, folks there on YouTube, we broadcast our lives there to YouTube. But all of our posts and information reside on Facebook at the Tropical Weather Threat Society here on Facebook. You are more than welcome if you have a Facebook account. Come on over, take a look at all the information that we've got. We've got our Tropical Weather Threat Society Hurricane Recovery Group, where we also put information that we find along and throughout Facebook there for preparation, just updates from Jamaica and stuff like that. So we try to keep a very, very updated view. And then we also, within the Hurricane Recovery Group, we also have other people that share information as well. You will have to answer questions to get into the group or, to post. Because we don't do bots and we don't do trolls. Well, we do, but we try to keep it professional. And there are a few of us on this team that have no problem with confrontation. And like they say nowadays, we want all that smoke. If you're going to come and you're going to try to bother people intentionally, expect it in return, because we don't play games. When it comes to this, life is more precious than to sit there and argue like children and toddlers. We'll let you know, and we may do it in a very unprofessional way. So let me at least give that disclaimer there. You get what you give. That's it. We treat people with respect. If you want to treat people without respect, well, expect that level of approach in return. All right, yeah. No, I like James said, I'm your Huckleberry, and oh, we have the 11. What? How? What do you mean? Well, highlighter. I don't have a highlighter. I'm still waiting on the page to load. All right, hold on. We're not going anywhere yet, folks. Got to report that we've got a highlighter here. Come on. I don't see it. Hold on. Let me check on my phone. Sometimes I get it faster over here. I love you, brother, but I don't see it. False email ping. Okay. All right. Yep. No, because we get all that stuff. Wow. They're just now sending those emails out. Yeah, we get emails with the for all the advisories and stuff. So you're good there, James. No need to apologize there, brother. The emails did come in, and being that we were getting ready to sign off, that is that would definitely, I could certainly see where that confusion and misunderstanding came to be. So we do apologize. We do not have a highlighter on the system, but before we sign off, we will give one last check in to our hurricane reconnaissance. And they're flying along the southern shore of Jamaica on the northern side of the storm itself, and will likely make a turn and come back in from the northwestern eye wall, and maybe come out on the southeastern side. So we're watching it all. I will be personally out of the office from about 11 to 12 ish. But if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out. We will get back to you with that information as soon as we can. Ooh, max wind band, northeast eye wall. What are we looking at? Oh my God! What? I wish I had a bleep button. Oh my God. 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 210 knots at the 907 millibar level, and the drop zone hit the surface at 930 millibars, so that's not very far above the surface, and we are looking at 210 knots? What? If y'all got any kids, please cover their ears. Holy shit. And I mean that. Fully. Oh my God. Oh, whoa. 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 And these winds, remember what we said from the National Hurricane Center's discussion. Some of these higher winds and higher elevated territories and areas are going to see these types of winds. Because if you look, this is at the surface at 930. 907 millibars. Granted, we don't know exactly how many meters this was above the ground. Mean wind in the lowest 500 meters, northeast at 182 knots. Mean wind in the lowest 150 meters, that's less than 500 feet off the ground, 171 knots. And then you got a 210. What? Oh my God. Okay, that's what we're looking at, folks. Please, 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 shelter in place. Do not come out of that safe place. Oh my God, I will be saving that for sure. I will be passing that along to quite a few professionals here this morning, talking about, hey, look what's just above the surface, and we'll see how they react to that. I know that people are going to be like, oh, wow, that 210, 210, what? Ugh. All right, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I've got things to do here this morning. I will be back at 1 p.m. Eastern, and we are definitely going to be looking at any reconnaissance missions to see if that wind begins to get closer and closer to the surface. 210 knots, folks, that would be world record. That would be on Patricia. That's world record if that value gets down to the surface. So right now, 882 is the lowest millibar pressure ever seen in the Atlantic Basin by Hurricane Wilma in 2005. The number 2 record is Hurricane Gilbert, that made landfall in Jamaica as a high-end Category 3 back in 1988. But after it moved off Jamaica, it rapidly intensified and achieved the minimum central pressure of 888 millibars. That is number 2 on the record. So hopefully we don't see this drop below 900, although with the continued pressure drops and the continued strengthening of this, it's very possible. It really is. So, all right, folks, I got to get ready to get my stuff done here. I will be back again in about 3 hours. So stay safe, and we'll talk to you then. Bye for now.